Blink Publishing presents On Duty with the Queen, written and read by me, Dickie Arbiter. Prologue, August 1997. A car approached as I walked up the private road towards Kensington Palace. The driver's side window wound down as the vehicle slowed, and I realised it was Diana. She smiled and waved as she always did before moving on her way. She looked happy. I knew she'd be heading back to the south of France imminently. She had just been on holiday there with her boys, but now that they were in Scotland with the rest of the royal family, she was planning to return at the invitation of her friend Dodi Fayed. They were in the midst of a brief summer romance, a simple flirtation at best, but I was glad to know she wouldn't be by herself for the remainder of the school holidays. The memory of that neighbourly exchange between the princess and me some 2 weeks prior played in my head as I sat, transfixed by the live news images of a car lying twisted and mangled in the depths of a tunnel in Paris. Details were scarce, but at least she was alive. Poor Burrell, Diana's butler, kept running into our apartment, sobbing, desperate for an update. I had checked in with the office, but as yet they didn't know anything more than what I was seeing on television. I turned, startled by the ringing telephone. It was just after 3 a.m. It was Penny Russell-Smith, the Buckingham Palace duty press secretary. "She's gone," was all she said. I showered, dressed, and left for the office. Chapter 1. Into Britannia, May 1988, Sydney, Australia. If you were approached to join the Palace press office to look after the Prince and Princess of Wales, would you be interested? It was Friday, 15th of April, the eve of my departure for Australia, where I would be covering the Queen's bicentennial tour for IRN, Independent Radio News, that I received the phone call from Philip Mackey, one of the Queen's press secretaries, which would radically change my life. Perhaps it was his distinctive Scottish brogue, difficult to decipher at the best of times. Or maybe what I'd heard him say couldn't be what he'd actually said. I asked him to repeat the question, and much to my astonishment, I had heard him correctly. To say I was shocked would be putting it mildly, and the conversation took a long time to sink in. But as I finished packing for the tour, I was struck by a profound sense of anticipation. Switching camps, turning from poacher to gamekeeper, seemed like the natural next step in my career. I was almost 48 and in the market for a change of plan. I was working for LBC News Radio, London Broadcasting Company, which, together with IRN, had a retirement age set at 60. With the date ever looming, I had begun to wonder if I should be doing something else with the next dozen years of my working life. Should I remain at LBC, doing much the same as I was already doing? Should I take my talents elsewhere, do similar work for another broadcaster, or should I change direction altogether? I didn't know. I just had the feeling that I ought to be doing something. This is not to say I didn't enjoy my current job. I was one of 2 accredited court correspondents to Buckingham Palace, the other being the Press Association's Tom Corby. As neither the BBC nor ITN had such roles, Sky News didn't begin broadcasting until 1989, we were the only 2 court correspondents in the UK. It gave me an extraordinary degree of autonomy and privilege, as there was no steadfast criterion to my everyday role that wasn't self-implemented. If I wasn't on the beat covering a royal story, there was always a daily visit to Buckingham Palace press office to clear my in-tray of announcements, investiture lists, and the Wednesday list of royal engagements, which also provided an opportunity to chat with whichever press secretary happened to be in the office at the time. I also travelled a great deal. As a reporter covering the many varied royal engagements, it came with the territory, though not always to the extent that I would have preferred. That particular year had begun with another visit to Australia, this one undertaken by the Prince and Princess of Wales to celebrate the country's 200th anniversary. Knowing just how popular the royal double act was, especially then, with speculation rife about the state of their marriage, I had tried hard to persuade IRN to send me with them. Citing budget issues, the answer was an emphatic no. The plan instead was to use coverage from various news agencies, and as the royal couple toured, and as I had predicted, British television stations were awash with coverage, and IRN's decision proving to be the wrong one. The company's obligation to the network was to do exactly what it had failed to do, provide coverage of a major news story.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?